Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something that's honestly non-negotiable for any nonprofit, the conflict of interest policy. Now, I know, it sounds like some dry legal document, but trust me, getting this right is absolutely fundamental to protecting your mission. So let's get into it.
So just think about this for a second. You've poured everything into building this amazing organization. You're doing incredible work in the community. But could one single hidden connection, a board member's side business, a director's nephew getting a job, put all of that in danger? The short answer is yeah, it absolutely could. And this is not just some hypothetical what-if scenario. The IRS has a very specific and very serious name for this: a private benefit violation. It happens when your organization's resources end up benefiting an insider more than they benefit the public. And the consequence? Well, it's the nightmare scenario: losing your tax-exempt status. This is why we have to take it so seriously.
All right, so let's dig into this hidden risk because it's something that can sneak up on even the most well-meaning people and organizations if you're not paying attention. Here's the thing. An unmanaged conflict isn't just an internal HR problem. It's a huge, blinking red flag to everyone on the outside. Your funders? They're going to wonder if their money is really going to the mission. Regulators? They're going to start asking questions. And the public, whose trust is your most valuable asset, you could lose it in an instant. These are risks you just can't afford to take.
Okay, so we're throwing this term conflict of interest around a lot. What does it actually mean? Let's get a really simple, clear definition so we're all on the same page. Now, I want you to pay close attention to one key phrase in there: could reasonably appear to influence. This is so important. It's not about proving that someone actually did something wrong or was biased. It's the appearance of a potential problem that matters. Good governance is about getting rid of even the perception of funny business.
So these conflicts pop up in a few common ways. You've got your classic financial interest. A board member's company stands to make money from the nonprofit. Then there are family relationships, like hiring a director's spouse. You've also got competing loyalty, which can be a bit more subtle, like serving on two boards that are chasing the same grant money. And finally, dual compensation, where someone is both a paid employee and a voting board member. All of these need to be handled carefully.
Okay, that all might sound a little intimidating, right? We've laid out the risk, but the good news is there's a really powerful and straightforward way to protect your organization. Let's call it the policy shield.
I want you to stop thinking of this policy as a bunch of restrictive, bureaucratic rules. Instead, think of it as your rule book for fairness. It's a shield that protects your mission, your reputation, and your leaders by creating a clear, transparent process for navigating these tricky situations. So, what does this shield actually look like? How do you build one? Well, a really strong and effective policy boils down to 4 key components. First, you have to clearly define what counts as a conflict for your organization. Second, you have to require all leaders, board, and key staff to put any potential conflicts in writing every single year. Third, you need a clear-as-day rule for recusal. And finally, you have to make sure the ultimate decision is made only by independent board members who have no skin in the game. And let's just focus on that annual disclosure piece for a minute because it's so critical. The act of collecting those forms every year isn't really about playing gotcha and finding problems. It's about creating a paper trail. It's your proof to the IRS, to funders, to anyone that you have a proactive system in place. It demonstrates that you're committed to doing things the right way. And the recusal part? It is dead simple. There's no gray area here. If the board is discussing a contract with your company, you can share information if they ask, but then you physically leave the room for the debate and the vote. Period. And the meeting minutes need to state that you left. It's clean, transparent, and totally protects both you and the organization. Right. Theory is one thing, but what happens when the rubber meets the road? Putting a policy into practice always brings up some very real practical questions. Let's tackle a couple of the big ones.
This is probably the #1 question everybody has. It feels like a trick question, right? It seems like the only safe answer has to be no, never. But you might be surprised. See, the goal here is management, not total prohibition. It's possible that a board member who's an accountant could genuinely give your nonprofit the best service at the best price. As long as the process is transparent, they disclose the conflict, they leave the room for the vote, and the rest of the board documents why it's a fair deal for the organization, it can be perfectly fine. The process is everything.
Okay, here's another one I hear all the time, especially from smaller organizations. We're a tight-knit group. We all know there are no conflicts. Do we really have to do this paperwork every year? It can feel like pointless busy work, I get it. And the answer is a huge, emphatic yes. Remember what we said earlier? The process itself is the point. Filling out that form, even if you just check the box that says no conflicts to disclose, serves as that yearly reminder of the rules. And more importantly, it creates that official record that proves your organization is taking governance seriously. So let's bring this all home. Why does this single policy matter so much? Because the people and agencies that hold your nonprofit's future in their hands, well, they're watching. So who's watching? First up, the IRS. They literally ask you on Form 1023, the application to become tax exempt, if you have a conflict of interest policy. Then you've got your funders. Grant makers will almost always ask to see your governance policies before they'll even think about writing a check. And finally, state regulators, like the Attorney General, are tasked with protecting public trust. And this policy is a key sign that you're doing just that.
So, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. Your mission is important. The work you do matters, and it deserves to be protected. A strong conflict of interest policy isn't just bureaucracy. It's the armor that shields your mission from the kinds of risks that can tear down everything you've worked so hard to build. The only real question left is your governance strong enough?